Hi, Harris Shilikovsky here, producer of the Opus Magnanimous podcast. This will be the first of a series of videos produced to show how I compose and produce the music that I use in the podcast and how I use different musical tools in my compositions. When I perform using the electric violin, for instance, I enhance the basic sound of the instrument using electronic effects. There are two ways that I can add these effects. I could, one, record the raw sound of the instrument directly into my DAW, my DAW, or digital audio workstation, which for the uninitiated among my listeners is the computer software program that emulates all the functions of a traditional recording studio. Instead of traditional tape recorders, we record digital sound, which means taking the audio sound waves, transmitting them as electrical impulses into my computer, where the workstation converts them into digital bits that can be stored and can be altered or manipulated with the effects tools that are included in the suite of tools designed into the DAW, into the digital audio workstation. I use as my digital audio workstation a Logic Pro, which is a nice piece of software made by the Apple company for most of my projects. Now that's one way I could go. I could just put the sound right in and then alter it after it's already in the computer. Or I could, and sometimes do, use an effects pedal, which alters the sound right as I'm creating it before it even goes into the computer. Instead of using a lot of different separate effects pedals, I use a multiple effects foot pedal that's made by the Boss company. My pedal is laid out in modular sections. Each section represents an electronic tool or effect, or a set of effects. The first such tool is the preamp section. At this stage, we set up the basic sound or qualities of the instrument. In the basic settings, we have the gain, which again is the volume or the loudness of the signal. And then most people are familiar with bass and treble, and so that's the low and the high sounds. We're going to change the strength of either low or high sounds, and also the middle of level and the general level. So listen to some of the different forms of effects, modulations of the sound that we get from using different settings now. Okay, so now I've created all these different sounds using the different settings of my multi-effects pedal. Now I need to store each one of these different sets of sounds or patches in places where I can remember them inside the pedal. Remember so that the explanation here you can see in this section of the manual for the pedal, saving and calling up or using tones. In this memory mode, a combination of these effects is called the patch, and 4 patches is called a bank of patches. And then you hit the different pedal, the number 1 pedal for the first bank of stuff, and then the second one, etc. So, and then we've got all these different user banks, so we can call up all these different tones. We have 72 different possible patches that you can store in the memory of the pedal. Okay, so now I need a way to, I can't memorize all these patches, and I'm certainly not going to write it down on a piece of paper that I'm going to lose. So I create a Google spreadsheet, and in my Google spreadsheet I have the different sheets. Each sheet represents a different bank, which, as you remember, contains 4 different patches. So you'll see at the top row it says the name of the patch. First one was gently wibbling. Right under that, the patch number, so that'll be patch number 1, and that's in bank number 1. If you look down at the bottom of the spreadsheet, you'll see the tab that says bank U1, which means user 1. And then all the different settings, I set up the menu so that I would have my options. For instance, in the preamp section, I've got, you can turn off the preamp, or you can set the EQ, or you can have a preset preamp setting, clean or combo, tweed, stack, which of course all refers to different types of like guitar amps, traditional guitar amps, which we're simulating, but for the electric violin instead of the electric guitar. So if you take a look at how I've set this up, I think that might be a solution or something similar to this for you as well. I do find that doing it in the virtual realm, that is storing it in a cloud-based thing like Google Spreadsheets, is much better than just storing these in a like a numbers or an Excel document on a computer, because obviously I might not have that computer. I want to make sure it's accessible on any gig that I go on, or any recording session, production session, whatever. So having it be accessible from the cloud is obviously the best. I can pull this up on a phone or on a computer or whatever, because it's the cloud, right? So that's how I use it. Maybe you could use something similar if you're producing some sounds where you use a multi-effects pedal, or for that matter, any other complex machinery or hardware that you use, electronic hardware, where you want to document all of your different settings. Hope this was interesting and useful for you.